Hi everybody, this is a review video of the first graders. So we have new studying topic today. The title is Dealing with the Devil, the Triumph and Tragedy of IBM's Business with the Third Reich. So this paper talks about the IBM, the famous computer company, and how IBM take advantage of opportunity of World War II. Okay, so this this paper is written by a student named Harry Murphy. Okay. So here is the main text. So it says innovation and invention drive the world forward and thrive off a free market that rewards individuals and companies that can tap into supply and demand. So this innovation and invention, because we have innovation and invention, our world can move forward and innovations can thrive off. It can push forward, right? Innovations can push forward free market, and in return, individuals and individual companies can get profit out of the situation, and they can tap into, they can touch upon supply and demand. They can create more supply, and individuals and companies can get more profit out of this production. During tragedy, especially wartime, this can take dark turn when the triumph of invention and profit is gained from human tragedy. However, normally this innovation and invention works positively for human, but during the tragedy, particularly like during the wartime, this innovation and invention can take a dark turn. It can become something negative to our human society, especially when this innovation and invention is taking profit out of the human tragedy. If this innovation and invention take profit out of the warfare, take a profit out of the tragedy, this innovation and invention could be considered as something negative. So International Business Machines Corporation saw warfare as an opportunity to capitalize off of both sides. So this famous company IBM saw this war situation as an opportunity to make money out of innovation and invention. Okay, so this both side refers to here innovation and invention. So as the Nazis rose to power, they needed the machinery to identify, organize, and number the Jewish population. So as these Nazis become more powerful, they need the technology. They need the advanced technology to identify Jews and to organize and to count the number of the Jewish population. So IBM saw this as a favorable position for corporate gain and began leasing tabulating machinery to the Nazi regime. So IBM considered this war as a favorable opportunity for themselves for making a corporate gain. So the IBM, they began leasing. Lease means they lend. Tabulating machine. Tabulating in simple term, it means like counting machine. Okay, counting machinery. In other words, it is tabulating machinery is computer, right? Tabulating machinery is computer. So IBM lent its computer technology to the Nazi regime during World War II. So IBM's endorsement of the Third Reich yielded capital gain at the cost of millions of lives. So IBM's endorsement means showing approval, right? So IBM approved the idea of Nazi regime. IBM approved the idea of Nazis killing the Jewish people. And the Third Reich is the name of the Hitler regime, which begins in 1933. Third Reich means that Third Empire. So Hitler wanted to say that his regime, his government, is the legitimate successor of Orthodox Roman Empire. So he called his own government, he called his own regime as the Third Reich, Third Empire from the original Roman Empire. So this IBM's approval of the Third Reich it yielded capital gain. So because IBM approved the idea of Third Reich, IBM could make money, and in return, at the cost of millions of lives, millions of Jews had to lose their life because of this operation. Okay? So this advanced technology, which enabled IBM's profit from the Holocaust, set the scene for the company's dominance throughout the 20th century, while ultimately enabling a calculated genocide. So this advanced technology, which means the IBM computer technology, made IBM a lot of money using the Holocaust. Holocaust is a massive killing of Jews, right? So, IBM made German government be able to kill massive amount of Jews population, and IBM made money. And because of that money IBM made during the Holocaust, IBM could become one of the biggest company in the entire 20th century, and which enabled German government to commit this calculated genocide. Also, genocide is a massive killing too, right? So using the computer technology of IBM, German government killed so many Jewish people. So we have a background section here. So in January 1933, Adolf Hitler was elected Chancellor of the Germany. So Adolf Hitler gained power in 1933 in German government, and Hitler implemented many racial laws that prohibited Jews from public living. So, once Hitler gained power, he established many laws, and this law prohibited Jews from having a public life. The Jews' business were plundered, and many were driven from their jobs and homes. So, many of Jews' business plundered, collapsed. Many of Jewish business collapsed, and many people were driven out of their house, and many of them were fired from a company. And Jewish companies were consumed by German government and ran by German officers. So it means that German government, they remove all the Jewish owners, Jewish company owners. So German government, they took away these companies from Jewish owners, and these German officers owned these companies. And as Hitler's regime progressed, he looked to institutionalize a core virtue of Nazism into German society: identification, ostracization, and extermination of Jewish community. So as Hitler's regime became more powerful, he expected. Hitler expected to institutionalize a core value of Nazism into German society. He liked to implement more Nazism idea into German society. So, in order to identify the Jewish population, and in order to ostracize means in order to isolate. In order to isolate Jewish people from German community, and extermination, also in order to eliminate Jewish community. So in his attempt to expunge Jews from Germany in 1935, so expunge means complete removal. So in order to completely remove Jews from Germany in 1935, Hitler ratified the Nuremberg race laws. So Hitler, he passed the law. Hitler passed the law of Nuremberg race laws in order to completely remove Jews from the German society. So these laws excluded German Jews from Reich citizenship and prohibited them from marrying or having sexual relations with persons of German or related blood. So the so-called Nuremberg race law, it prohibited all take away all the German citizenship from the Jewish people, and also it stopped Jewish people from marrying any kind of German blood, any kind of German related blood, or it also stopped Jewish people from having a sexual relation with German or any related blood. So in a speech to Reichstag, Hitler proclaimed Jews will have to adjust to constructive, respectable activities, such as other people already engaged in, or sooner or later, they will succumb to a crisis of yet inconceivable proportions. So Hitler, he made an announcement, public announcement in the place called Reichstag, and Hitler argued that the Jewish people, you have to adjust, you have to obey this new law, which is quite constructive, respectable activities. So he is using euphemism. Hitler is using euphemism, using this smooth and positive vocabulary, but in reality, Hitler is threatening Jews. If Jews have to obey Hitler's law, if they don't obey, they will face terrible consequences. So Hitler argued that since other people already engaged in, other people already obeying my new law, Jewish also have to obey this law. Or sooner or later, otherwise, if you don't obey my law, you will succumb to a crisis. You will face a crisis. If you don't obey my law, you will face a crisis of inconceivable proportions, meaning that you will face really terrible, horrible consequences if you don't obey my law. So this is a downright threatening to the Jewish people. So in order to fulfill Nazism, Hitler needed a technology and data sets to count, organize, and number the population to distinguish Jews from the rest of society. So in order to make his Nazism happen, Hitler needed a technology, and also he needed a data set to manage all the Jewish population and distinguish these Jewishes from the rest of society. Hitler needed some kind of technology. And little did Hitler know, he would have to look no further than New York City. So back then, in this time, Hitler didn't know that, he just needed to look at the New York City. Because in New York City, they have IBM, and IBM has this advanced technology which can enable Hitler to whatever that he wants to do with the Jewish population. But Hitler didn't know anything about IBM. He didn't know that he can find this technology easily from the New York City back then. So IBM's connection to the Nazis, IBM's business with Germany began when the United States entered World War I, and IBM's property was seized by the German government for being owned by an international adversary. So actually the relationship with IBM and Germany, it goes further than just World War II. It goes earlier. So IBM and Germany began having a relation from World War I. Okay, so IBM property was seized by German government. The German government confiscated IBM's property because IBM belonged to a U.S. company. U.S. was the enemy of Germany during the World War I. So because IBM is enemy's asset, German government confiscated asset of IBM. So CEO Thomas J. Watson was pleased with the seizure because the corporation's international assets were protected. Thomas J. Watson, Dr. Watson is the owner and founder of IBM. He was happy. He was happy to be taken away his asset by the German government because he knew that the Germany was really developed country, really rich and powerful country back then. So he knew that his asset, IBM asset, will be well protected by German government. So Dr. Watson was not worried about his asset, property. So in 1937, Watson later wrote to Nazi economist minister Hermann Schaut that from the day I returned to Germany after the war to find my company's affairs in the best safekeeping by your alien property custodian, this attitude has caused me to give public utterance to my impressions and convictions in favor of Germany at a time when public opinion in my country and elsewhere was predominantly unfavorable. So this Dr. Watson wrote a letter to a German economic minister later on, and he said that, I visited Germany after the World War I in order to get my asset back. And in order to visit Germany, I had to show some friendly attitude. I had to show some friendly attitude toward Germany in front of public. And this American public didn't like to see me showing friendly attitude to Germany because, Germany and United States are enemies in World War I. And I showed my friendly attitude to our enemy. So our public, American public, didn't like me, didn't like my impression, my friendly attitude toward Germany. Subsequently, Watson planned a prodigious investment in the German computing market. But in return, consequently, Watson, he had a planned prodigious investment. He had really like this genius investment plan in the German computing market. Okay, so this was how far we covered in last time. So you guys did a good job participating. We'll continue our lesson next time. Okay, so thank you. Bye. Bye.